The next words I heard was, "Hey, Ruud, there's nothing left to finish off, man. You're like a walking corpse." And they threw me in the back of the car. We drove out of town. The driver jumped out in the middle of the woods and opened up the trunk. I thought, maybe they're going to get out the shovels and really not only do me in, but bury me as well. But instead, I got an overdose. I was hooked worse than ever before. I was running down a one-way street right into the electric chair or the gallows, but I missed and I landed in jail 5 months later, facing up to 30 years on 3 very serious charges. When I walked into the prison, I felt at home. Most of my friends were already there. The first day in jail, we stole a butcher knife out of the kitchen. The next day, some drugs came in over the wall. We put it in the end of a tube of toothpaste and shot it through the other end of the prison. The next day, we gummed the hacksaw blade up underneath the cleaning bucket and snuck it out of the boiler room. A few days later, I sat down in my cell and wrote out a letter, put it in the bottom of my tobacco pouch to sneak it through the garbage, and they'd mail it on the outside of the prison, which is called shooting a cat over the wall. But they caught me with that. Here I was going to court while I was in jail waiting to go to court, and they sentenced me to the hole. Solitary confinement. It's like a cage, buried in concrete under the prison. Only 7 short feet long. 3 vitamin pills and a bowl of soup every day. And every 5 days, a few meat and potatoes, just enough to keep you alive. No shoes, no blankets, no mattress, no pencils, papers, books, magazines, cigarettes, nothing. I was all alone. But something happened in that hole that I call the trip beyond. And just before I close and tell you of the greatest experience anyone could ever experience, I want to ask you one question. Why do you think that I've come here tonight? Just to put on a show? No. Somebody said, well, because you're getting paid for it. No. I'm here, I could say, for many reasons. Like girls, Art Linkletter's daughter. She dropped a few tabs and then got on a bum trip, wrote her father, Arthur, and said, Arthur, I'm never going to do drugs again. But it was already too late. A little chemical lodged in her brain and began eating its way through a little brain tissue. It hit a nerve cell. She walked out a window and fell so many floors to the street below. She got on a trip, man. She can't come back. I could go on and say, Jimi Hendrix, he went up on drugs, but he came crashing back down so many times until he broke through the bottom. He needed a little too much to get back in a race. And he's on a trip, man. There's no coming back. Janis Joplin, she's on a trip she can't get off of. The young guy, 14 years old, dropped the microdot of LSD and jumped off the Hemisphere Tower down in San Antonio. He hit that asphalt and busted up like a rag doll all over. Is it just one here and one there? No. Over 2,000-3,000 young people in the area of Houston, Texas alone, because of drugs, are undergoing treatment and so on. They're on a trip that's going too fast. They can't get off. But the main reason I've come is because of my best friend, Arthur Newman. We stole together. We took drugs together. We did a lot of things together. But he can't be here. You might not like me, but I know you'd like him. He was a real cool dude. He just dropped a few tabs to go on a wild trip. And so he started tripping out at this party after dropping just a few tabs, you know, just to turn on a little. Nothing wrong with that. I was going to meet him there possibly later. And as he sat down beside the record player and the music began to play, his eyes began to roll back into his head. He began to freak out and hallucinate. They asked him to leave, but he wouldn't leave. And so the guy that owned the place, Peter, he came over and he says, come on, man, get out of here. Go home, sleep it off, do something. And so he grabbed him by the arm and picked him up out of the chair and walked him over to the front door. Newman said, hey, man, don't kick me out, please, and started to kind of fight with him. He shoved him out the door and said, man, get out of here or we'll kill you. They didn't mean it. They just said it. As my best friend stood on the top stair, he looked down and blood began to run over the stairs. He waded through the blood. There in front of him, the sidewalk opened up and fountains of blood began to bubble up out of the ground. He got in a cab, shot across town and got a doings and put it in his belt, done up his jacket and came back and walked in the same front yard. There, the blood was still running over the stairs. As he stopped again on that top stair, he opened up his jacket and pulled out that doings, which is a double-barreled, sawed-off shotgun. He was going to go hunting. It was a wild hunting trip. He was going to protect everybody. And he pushed his way through the front door. There coming down the steps, 21-year-old Tommy Little. He looked up and said, Newman, man, what you doing back here? Do we got to throw you out again? Newman turned around and pulled that one barrel and blew the guys all over the stairs.